Welcome back. Today we are looking at a phenomenon that is, well, it's physically uncomfortable.
Hmm.
I don't mean running a marathon uncomfortable. I mean that specific visceral tightness you get in your chest when you're in a conversation.
Right.
You know exactly what you want to say, but you physically just can't get the words out.
The stuck gear moments.
Right. And we aren't just talking about being shy. We're analyzing a whole stack of research and articles centered around the art of speaking English without hesitation.
Yeah.
But honestly, as I was going through this, I realized this isn't really about English, is it? It's about the psychology of performance.
It absolutely is.
It's about that gap between your brain, which is moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and your mouth, which has just decided to go on strike.
It is a universal experience.
Yeah.
But I think the stakes feel incredibly high when it's a second language. You feel like you've been stripped of your personality.
That's the worst part. You feel like a toddler, even though you might be an expert in your field. Now, usually when people try to fix this, they go buy a vocabulary book. They think, if I just knew one more word, I wouldn't be pausing right now.
Yeah, that's the default solution.
But the core argument, hesitation, has almost nothing to do with what you know.
Which is a bold claim because it goes against the entire educational model most of us grew up with.
It really does.
We're taught that competence is just knowledge storage. If you fail a test, it's because you didn't study the facts. But speaking isn't data retrieval.
It's a performance sport.
Exactly. You can have a vocabulary of 10,000 words and still...
That still frees.
Completely. And you can know 500 words and be incredibly fluid. Makes this distinction right at the top. Hesitation is rarely a knowledge gap. It's a fear gap.
Okay, let's push on that a little, though, because fear feels a bit abstract.
Sure.
I don't feel afraid when I'm ordering coffee, but I might still stumble. Is it really fear, or is it just cognitive overload?
Well, this breaks it down into 3 specific blockers. And they're all rooted in a fear response, even if it doesn't feel like terror.
Okay.
You've got the fear of mistakes, the fear of judgment, and the fear of imperfection.
Oh.
So when you're ordering that coffee, if you hesitate, it's often because your brain is rapidly scanning, for the perfect way to say it, to avoid looking foolish. That microsecond of, don't look stupid,
Yeah.
that's fear.
So we are treating a casual chat like it's a bomb defusal operation.
That is the analogy the text uses, yeah. We treat conversation like a minefield, where step one wrong preposition just blows up our credibility.
Wow.
And that leads to the first big mindset shift the author proposes.
Yeah.
We have to stop thinking of English as a test and start thinking of it as a tool.
I read that section, and I have to play devil's advocate here. It's easy to say it's just a tool, but we have years of conditioning that tells us language is a test.
Of course.
We got graded on grammar. We got red pen marks on our essays.
Yeah.
Can you really just switch that off?
You can't switch it off overnight, no. But you can reframe the objective. Think about, say, a hammer.
Okay.
If you use a hammer to drive a nail into the wall and you hold it a bit wrong, or you wobble a bit, but the nail goes in, did you succeed?
Yes. The picture's on the wall.
Right. Nobody stands there and critiques your hammer-holding technique. They just look at the results.
I see.
In a test mindset, the process matters more than the outcome. In a tool mindset, the outcome, the message, is the only thing that matters.
So the goal shifts from correctness to connection.
Which takes a massive weight off the brain. But, and here's where we get into the mechanics, even if you fix the mindset, you still have to deal with the translation loop.
Oh, that really resonated with me.
I think it does for most people.
The translation loop is described as the main mechanical cause of hesitation. And it's just exhausting. It's like running 2 operating systems at the same time.
That's a great way to put it.
Walk us through what's happening in the brain here, because I think we've all done this.
Okay, so you hear a question in English. Step 1, your brain translates it into your native language to process the meaning.
Right.
Step 2, you formulate a smart, nuanced, an adult-level answer in your native language.
Mm-hmm.
And then step 3, you try to translate that complex answer back into English, word for word.
And that is where the crash happens.
It has to crash.
Yeah.
Because languages don't map onto each other one-to-one.
Not at all.
You get stuck looking for the equivalent of a specific idiom or a cultural concept, and while you're searching, your mouth is just silent.
And the person you're talking to is just staring at you.
And that silence increases your anxiety, which shuts down your language center even more. It's a spiral.
The fix is to think in English,
Right.
which frankly is frustrating advice.
It's like, just be happy.
Exactly. If I could think in English, I would. But Actually gives a specific way to bridge that gap, right? It's not about flipping a magical switch.
No, it's about simplification. The problem isn't that you can't think in English. It's that you can't think complex thoughts in English. Yet. So the advice is to use anchors or short functional phrases to get started.
Like, I think,
Yeah.
or I feel.
It sounds incredibly basic, but mechanically it's crucial. If you force yourself to start a sentence with, I think that,
Hmm.
you've cut off the option of translating.
Uh,
You've committed your brain to the English track.
But here's the friction point for me with that. When I use those simple phrases, I feel like I'm sounding simpler than I actually am. I feel like I'm losing my intelligence.
That is the price of fluency in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very honest about this.
Okay.
You have to be willing to sound a little less smart in order to be fluid. You have to regress to progress.
So that complex thought I have in my native language,
You have to let it go and accept the simpler English version for now.
that kills the ego a little bit.
It does. But the alternative is silence.
And that brings us to the ready myth. This is something I highlighted 3 times. You will never feel 100% ready.
It's the asymptote of readiness. You can get closer and closer, but you never actually touched the line.
I feel like this applies to everything, not just language.
Absolutely.
But in this context, it's saying that if you wait until you are sure your sentence is perfect, you will literally never speak.
And biologically, your brain needs the action to build the confidence. We think confidence comes first, then we speak. But it's the inverse.
So it's speak first.
You speak, you survive the experience, and then your brain grants you the confidence.
So you have to speak before you're ready.
Always.
Okay, so let's assume we're being brave. We're speaking, we're ditching the translation loop. Now we need to look at the tactical toolkit.
Mm-hmm.
Because once the mouth opens, we need to control the flow. And there's a section here on speed that completely contradicts my intuition.
You equate speed with fluency.
100%. If I hear someone rattling off English at lightning speed, I think, wow, they're fluent.
Right.
If I hear someone speaking slowly, I assume they're a beginner.
And that bias is exactly what causes people to stumble. They try to run at a sprint speed when their legs can only handle a jog.
Right.
Kind of military mantra here. Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast.
Slow is smooth. I like that.
Think about high-status speakers, a CEO, a president.
Do they rush?
No, they actually
Yeah.
take up a lot of time. They speak very deliberately.
Precisely. Rushing is actually a low status signal. It signals, I need to get this out quickly before you interrupt me.
Yeah.
Slowing down signals confidence and control. But mechanically, it does something even more important. It buys your brain time to process.
It effectively widens the buffer.
Yes. If you speak at 100 words per minute, your brain has to fetch 100 words. If you drop to 80, you have significantly reduced the cognitive load.
So you stop stumbling because your brain can finally keep up with your mouth.
Exactly. But silence is still scary. If I slow down and I hit a blank spot, that silence feels heavy. This is where the sentence starters come in.
Right.
The STAR tools, but aren't they just filler words? I mean, aren't we taught to avoid
There's a massive difference between a panic noise and a control phrase.
Mm-hmm.
Are the sounds of a brain malfunctioning. They signal to the listener that you're lost.
Right.
A sentence started like actually, or what I mean is, or that's a fascinating question, serves a different function. It tells the listener, I am still in charge. I'm just formulating my thought.
It's like putting a loading bar on the screen instead of just a blank black screen.
And it creates a runway. If you say, that is a really interesting point, you have just bought yourself 3 seconds.
And in those 3 seconds,
Your brain is frantically searching to the noun you need. By the time you finish the starter, the noun has arrived.
I really like the phrase, what I mean is, that one as a way to pivot.
It's the undo button of speech.
Yes. Because usually if I start a sentence and realize I'm going down a dead end, I just panic. I stop. I apologize.
Sorry, my English.
Exactly. Which breaks the flow and just highlights the error.
It does.
But what I mean is, allows you to just restart the sentence without admitting defeat.
It frames the correction as a clarification rather than a mistake. I went to the store. Well, what I mean is, I drove to the market. You sound precise, not wrong.
So we've got the mindset, the mechanism, and the tactics. But how do we actually train this? Very critical of passive learning.
This is the Netflix trap.
I am so guilty of this. I watch shows in Spanish and tell myself I'm studying.
You're studying input. You are not training output. They're completely different neural pathways.
Right.
The source compares it to watching tennis. You could watch Wimbledon for 10 years. It doesn't mean you can swing a racket.
So what's the drill? How do we practice output without, flying to London?
You have to manufacture the interaction. The suggestion is to use those same podcasts or videos, but use the pause button aggressively.
So, talk to the screen.
It feels ridiculous at first. You're sitting in your room talking to a paused YouTube video, but you have to simulate the pressure of response.
So if the speaker asks a rhetorical question,
You pause it, and you answer out loud.
and the out loud part is non-negotiable.
Absolutely non-negotiable.
Yep.
If you answer in your head, you're cheating. You aren't engaging the motor skills of the mouth or the diaphragm.
Yeah.
You need to physically produce the sound to train that instant reaction.
I suppose it's about shortening the reflex time, stimulus to response.
Exactly, and doing it in a safe environment where nobody is judging you.
Speaking of judgment, let's talk about the philosophical core. We've covered the tips, but this concept of confidence really stuck with me. This defines confidence in a way that I think is, well, it's controversial.
Confidence is not perfection. Confidence is continuation.
Confidence is continuation. Okay, I want to challenge this. In a high-stakes business meeting, if I just keep talking while making mistakes, don't I look incompetent? Doesn't accuracy matter?
Accuracy matters, of course. But what looks more incompetent?
Okay.
The person who uses the wrong verb, tense, but finishes their strong point about the Q4 earnings? Or the person who stops mid-sentence, looks down and mumbles, sorry.
The second one. Definitely the second one.
Because the second one signals insecurity. The first one signals that the data is more important than the language.
Ah.
When you prioritize the message over the medium, people respect the message. If you prioritize the grammar, people notice the grammar errors.
That's a powerful distinction. By stopping to correct yourself, you are literally pointing a spotlight at your mistake.
You are inviting the listener to grade you. If you just continue, the listener is following the idea.
Yeah.
Most of the time, they won't even register the error.
That's true. Even in our native language, we slip up all the time and nobody cares.
We stumble, we restart, we use the wrong name, we just plow through. We need to grant ourselves that same permission in English.
Before we wrap up, we should address the missing piece. We've talked about the brain and the mouth, but what about the rest of the body? There's a section on physicality that I almost skipped, but it's actually quite scientific.
It's the biology of the nervous system.
Yeah.
You cannot speak confidently if your body is in fight or flight mode.
And what triggers that mode?
Often, it's just our posture. When we're nervous about speaking, we tend to shrink. We hunch our shoulders, we cross our arms, we take shallow breaths,
Which restricts the diaphragm,
and it makes your voice sound thin and shaky.
which then makes us feel even more nervous.
It's a feedback loop.
Yeah.
Your body tells your brain, we are small, we are in danger. So the brain floods the system with cortisol. And what does cortisol do? It inhibits the language centers of the brain.
So you literally make yourself dumber by hunching over.
In a way, yes. So the advice to sit up straight and breathe isn't just old school etiquette, it's a biohack.
It stimulates the vagus nerve, right?
It signals safety. And when the brain feels safe, access to vocabulary opens up.
So putting this all together into a daily habit, as we don't need an hour a day.
No, consistency beats intensity. 5 minutes.
It's just 5 minutes.
5 minutes of active speaking, not listening, speaking. Talk about your day while you're in the shower. Summarize a news article to your cat. The content doesn't matter.
It's the habit of turning thought into sound without that filter of fear.
Exactly. If you only speak English once a week at a meeting, it's a high-pressure event. If you speak it every day to your shower curtain, it becomes mundane. And mundane is good. Mundane means relaxed.
So let's recap the journey here. We start by realizing that the hesitation is fear, not a lack of knowledge. We switch our mindset from test to tool.
We stop the translation loop by using anchors like I think. We slow down to gain control.
We use sentence starters to buy processing time. And physically, we open up our posture to signal safety to our brains.
And most importantly, when we make a mistake, we continue.
This is with a warning that I think is the perfect ultimatum for our listeners. It says, if you wait for perfect English, you will wait forever.
It's true. There is no arrival point. There's no day where a certificate arrives in the mail saying, you are now ready. You have to wade into the mess.
Your voice is ready right now. Not the future, perfect version of you. The version of you that exists today with all the imperfections.
And that version is enough to communicate.
I want to leave everyone with a thought to mull over based on that confidence is continuation concept.
Okay.
We've been talking about English, but I have a feeling this bleeds into other areas of life.
It usually does.
If confidence comes from continuing through a mistake rather than avoiding one, where else in your life are you staying silent? Where else are you holding back your ideas or your contributions simply because you're waiting to be perfect?
If you applied that continuation rule to your leadership style or your relationships, what would change?
I think a lot would change. Thanks for diving in with us today.
Speak soon.
See you next time.